This is In the Zone with Ian Robb and Dancin Rodda. One's a mental toughness coach who also helps riders with recovery. The other, a horseman with soul, who is also a marriage counselor for the rider and horses. Together, they dive beyond ribbons and rankings to where real riders train, the mind. From elite arenas to quiet barns, this show is about the mental edge, the recovery rhythm, and the heart that keeps you in sync with your horse and yourself. So whether you're tuning in from the tack room or the open road, saddle up. You're in the zone now.
Welcome back to In the Zone with Ian Robb and Dancin Rodda. This is a place where we talk about mindset, growth, and what really takes us to live and perform in alignment with who you are becoming.
And today's conversation is a powerful reminder that sometimes the bravest performance isn't in the ring, on the court, or under bright lights. It's the quiet decisions to choose clarity over chaos.
Our guest today is Sydney, founder of Young and Sober, a podcast and community redefining what sobriety looks like for a new generation.
This isn't a story about perfection. It's a story about growth, about listening to yourself when the world is loud, and about realizing that healing doesn't move in straight lines, but it always moves forward.
Whether you're sober curious, or simply trying to live with more intention, this conversation is for you. So take a breath, settle in, and let's get in the zone with Sydney. Hey, Sydney.
Hi, guys. I'm so happy to be here.
We have Sydney Shelby, and I met her at the Hobby Horse event here in Ocala, and we had fun. And you were working for what company?
Engel and Volker. So I'm also a real estate agent here in Ocala.
Well, perfect. So the reason why we have you here is because you have such a profound story. Let's have people learn a little bit more about you and where you're coming from and where you are now.
So was born in Nashville in Tennessee, and I was adopted into a family that lived in California. So my adoption was pretty much when I was born. It was a couple months before I was born. So I never grew up with my biological family. I had a mom and a dad. I spent a lot of time growing up in California. I started riding when I was 9 years old, I believe. That might be wrong because my mom always corrects me on that. But I've grown up riding horses pretty much my entire life, and I skipped a lot of school because I rode. I skipped a lot of social events and stuff like that. Like my life was revolved around horses. I was a working student for a very long time and pretty much just wanted to devote my entire life to horses. And then at some point when I was 19, COVID hit, and my trainer asked if I wanted to move out here to Florida. And I was like, let's go. Like, I have nothing better to do. Why not? So I packed up my car and my dog, and I drove from California, Santa Cruz, California, out here to Ocala, Florida, and moved into an apartment sight unseen, just me, and tried to just find my way here. So that's kind of how I ended up in Ocala.
Mine was kind of similar. I came out from San Diego out here, but without a dog, and I bought this house out of not seen either. So coming from Santa Cruz to Ocala, what was that like? That's a shift in itself.
I mean, everyone always asks me that. There's really no difference. I think Silicon Valley is where I grew up, so everyone's very tech based, and here it's very like country based, and I almost prefer the country based. Like I'm very much like, let's go mudding, or let's go do something like outdoorsy, go to the woods, go ride horses to a state park. And in California, we didn't really have that. It would be like, hey, let's go surfing today, or like, let's go to the beach. So it's just like different areas. But the people in both areas are very friendly and very kind.
And what kind of riding?
Show jumping.
Show jumping.
Yeah.
So we thought it was important to have you on because you have such a story to tell and something to share. So why don't we talk a little bit about that now?
And before we start, we want the audience to know that Shelby is willing to put her story out there without holding back, which is huge for our podcast and whoever's listening. So this is going to be a serious conversation. So please.
Absolutely. But on that one there, we see this quite a bit in the riding world. So what Shelby's going to be sharing, I think, resonate.
I think we need an 800 number or something.
800 Dancin Pete. Okay. All right, Shelby, tell us a little bit more about it.
So I found alcohol when I was 14 years old. and my biological family are all addicts and alcoholics. And so I just assumed that I knew that they had drug problems with cocaine and alcohol. And I know a couple of my other family members dabble in a few other things, but I thought because I didn't live with them and I was raised completely different, I could just avoid the whole alcoholic drug addict thing. And so I kind of was very lax with my usage. And, I think a lot of kids when they're younger will experiment with their friends when they're going out. But like I had such a need to want to fit in with the older crowd because being Black and being in the horse world, growing up in California, I had a really hard time making friends, a really hard time. Like my hair never fit in my helmet properly. I was always like not maybe in the right stuff, the new up to date things. And so I always was trying to put a mask on to be someone that I wasn't. And so growing up, I just wanted to fit in. Like I didn't care what I had to do. I just wanted to be a part of the crowd. And so the older kids would use me to go like steal bottles of alcohol from the Safeway or whatever it was. And I found myself starting to go to college parties when I was like 15, 16 years old. And my parents did the best that they could, but I was like a determined kid. Like if I wanted to go do something, I was going to go do it and you weren't going to stop me. Like I was sneaking out of the house, catching rides. And in California, I lived in Santa Cruz and San Jose was like 45 minutes away. That's like the nearest city. And there was this road called Highway 17, which is like 17 miles of straight hill, like windy up and down hills. And the amount of times that I've been driven on that road with somebody inebriated, like the fact that I should be dead right now is highly likely. And then throughout my younger years, I've always struggled with depression, anxiety, and other things. So when I was in sixth grade, I started self-harming. And then by the time I hit eighth grade, I think I had at least 4 suicide attempts under my belt. And I got in a really abusive relationship with a boy, unfortunately, in eighth grade. And he used to hit me. And so that created like a whole new, I don't know, like my initial thought with that was like, well, in order to have relationships, if I'm drunk, I won't get hurt. Like if I'm drinking, like no one will hurt me. And so it became like if I wasn't at the barn riding, which was pretty much the only time where I felt normal and I felt human was when I was with horses. And outside of that, like my social life was so unstable. And I think a part of it has to do with the time management of being a horse kid. Like I was at the barn all the time. I didn't have time to go to prom or go to dances or hang out with my friends late at night because I had to be up at 5 a.m. to go to the show the next morning or other things. And I think I isolated myself, but also horses definitely isolated me from living a normal childhood. It's like a double-edged sword.
So when you say you self-hurt yourself, cutting,
Yeah.
what describe
Like cutting, I think there's a lot of different forms of self-harm, which I realize now that I'm older, that if it wasn't cutting, I had very destructive behavior. So even, you can consider some of the relationships that you get in as self-harm because it's like you're fully aware that you shouldn't be in them, and yet I can't leave them because I think I deserve that. And so I can kind of see in my life how, yeah, I stopped cutting when I was 14 years old, but it picked up in ways that I
and
didn't realize.
just for the audience that haven't cut themselves, what is the mindset of cutting?
I mean, for everyone, it's a little bit different. For me, it's like I thought I deserved it for one part. And then there was another part that I was just so angry at myself and for the person I was that I felt like I had to take the anger out on myself. And it was just like a self-confidence, not being able to fit in. I was bullied very heavily throughout middle school and high school. And even before then, like before I hit sophomore year of high school, I'd been to 8 different schools because the bullying had gotten so bad. And it was like racial discrimination, like discrimination from teachers, me having to, at one point, there was a time where I wasn't allowed to use the bathrooms because they thought I had gone up to the other part of the school and stolen something when I was in the bathroom the whole time. So they actually had to escort me to the principal's office to use that bathroom and I was like, you guys have security cameras, like pull it up, and they refused to pull it up. So it's like, for so long, I just remember being like a little girl and sitting on the edge of my bed and like praying God would make me white because I didn't want to be going through that stuff. And to think of me now and how I've developed now and like thinking about that little girl, like it breaks my heart. But yeah.
Hearing all that, Sydney, and understanding that you said, and you're saying you're an alcoholic, and what did alcohol and drugs give you at first? And what were you actually searching for? Did this help with these issues in your mind, or tell
Yeah.
us what was it about for you?
Freedom. It was like my brain finally shut off. It was like I could finally not hate myself as much because it was like that haze had gone over and I didn't think before I acted. And a lot of the times I didn't remember the stuff that I did when I was drinking. So I didn't have any, like, what's the right word? Um, I'm blanking on the word. Any
We could do charades if that helps.
any embarrassment towards the actions that I had the night before, unless somebody told me what I did. And
Which
then
you used it as an excuse. Well, I
yeah,
was drinking, that's why I acted that
yeah,
way.
exactly. And I also think it was just a way for me to fit in because everyone else was drinking. I remember like going one night we had stolen Tito's bottles from Safeway and I ended up in a trap house. I don't even know how I ended up there. I think I was like 15. Like I should be dead. With
What's a
the
trap house?
it's where people sell, make, deal drugs, I guess. I mean, I don't know what the exact example. It was just a bunch of degenerates living in a house together and all doing drugs. And that was like my first, I think one of my core memories of kind of where my addiction
So
was.
how old were you when you started alcohol?
Drinking 14.
14.
Yeah.
And so when did you realize that this lifestyle that you were just describing, that you were living, no longer aligned with who you wanted to be?
Not up until beginning of last year. Yeah, so it took me a while. I think I moved out to Ocala and the party scene here was pretty big and I was alone. I didn't really have any guidance and I just kind of got taken by the hand and brought into a whole nother world that I had no idea existed. And I found cocaine and yeah, I also am bipolar. So I do get mania and I have dealt with mania for a long time. And once I found cocaine, it was like I was off to the races. I was like, this is great. Like I can enact my manic episodes because when I'm in the opposite of my bipolar, I'm like can't get out of bed. I'm so depressed. Like I won't show up to the barn, I won't show up to work, I won't respond to people. Sometimes my mom would have to come over and help me take care of my dogs because I couldn't get myself out of bed. So if I know that's the alternative, if there's something that can take me out of that, why would I not go ahead and do that? So that's kind of where that shifted.
It sounds like your parents cared quite a bit.
Yeah, yeah, they did. And it was hard because I think so my last suicide attempt, I had crashed my car into a telephone pole and I was 17 at the time. And my mom had a really hard time because it was like I was right on that edge of like potentially falling off the cliff and she was just trying to keep me alive. And so she did everything she could, but I did not give that woman an easy time at her job. Not at all. And I feel very bad for that, but we have a very solid relationship and I've done a lot of apologizing, but also a lot of work on changing my behavior because you can only apologize as much as you're willing to shift your behavior.
Sorry is only sorry if you change what you've been doing.
100%.
If you say you're sorry and then you do the same thing 5 more times,
Yeah,
sorry becomes nothing.
exactly.
So what scared you more, continuing your life as you were doing or facing life without substance?
For me, it was continuing life on how I was. I got to the beginning of last year and everything was just falling apart. Like I didn't have really any friends or any very good friends. My relationships were super unstable and I think a part of me broke and I like called the suicide helpline and I was like I was a mess. It was a really, really bad 2 weeks. My grandma had just passed away. So everything just came barreling down. And I remember sitting on the floor of my house and being like, I cannot continue to live like this. Like either I'm going to die or I'm going to change everything because like I had a realization where the only common denominator in everything that was going wrong was me. And I had nobody else to look at except for the person standing in the mirror. And I could no longer make up excuses for my own behaviors and pretend to act like everything was fine. Like the way I was treating people, the way I was interacting with people, and my riding had taken a toll and my horse had taken a toll. And that was one thing that I swore that would never cross over. And I remember one day, my friends and I had gone out to go get like drinks. Like we were just like, let's go get a casual drink, but it was never a casual drink because I didn't have a stop button. And I had to show the next morning I was doing the derby here at WEC. And I went out and I ended up pulling like an all-night bender. I was high out of my mind. I was so drunk. And I showed up to the horse show that morning, not having slept, still drunk and still high, and rode my horse. And I swore I would never do that. I swore I'd never do that. And that still wasn't my rock bottom. And that's the worst part is I went home to my mom. My mom was like, you can never do that again. I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, you're right. I'll never do that again. I was out the next night. And that was the thing was I didn't have a stop button and I didn't have like that moment of I can't keep doing this until it like everything came crashing down. And then I was like, I need to make a change here.
So both you two might not know this, but there's alcoholism in my family and actually drug addiction too. So I remember people saying, well, as long as I don't do this, I'm okay, but then all of a sudden they cross that barrier
Yeah.
and then they make the barrier a little bit further and then
Hmm.
make it a little bit further. Is that something that you were telling
Oh,
yourself as well?
100%. I talk about this a lot on the Young and Sober social media was like the boundaries that you set in what you're drinking. And I notice a lot of people I've talked to are alcoholics. It's so crazy how the progression will happen because you'll sit there and you'll be judging other people like, I swear I would never do that. I can't believe they do that. And then the next thing you know, you're doing that exact same thing. And so I was making the lines, but I wasn't reinforcing them. And so it was so easy for me to just like draw that line in the sand a little bit further and draw it a little bit further and move it out and move it out and be like, make excuses. And it was so easy for me to justify my own behavior because I was like, oh, I'm 23. Like, this is normal. I'd be in college right now. Even when I was going to rehab, my mom and I got in a huge fight because I was originally going to rehab for mental health because I didn't think I had an alcohol problem. She said to me on the phone, she's like, maybe you need to start looking at substance abuse places. And I like lost it. I was like, screw you. You don't know what you're talking about. And looking back, that was like, wow, like I really did have a problem and I had no idea I had a problem. 2 weeks into rehab, I still wouldn't admit that I had a problem. So,
So when did you? Tell us when that
When
happened.
did bottom happen? That's
I mean, so rock bottom first, I had a situation with a boy that I was talking to and I went absolutely psychotic. Like I was a completely different person. And if anyone out there deals with manic episodes or mania, you'll kind of hopefully relate to this, but it feels like you're getting like locked in like a movie theater and you're like watching your life in front of you and you have no say or do over what's happening. And it's really scary actually, because it's like subconsciously I know the things that I'm doing are wrong, but I can't stop them. Like it's like somebody else is just piloting and steering the wheel. And so after that, I did a big assessment of like, what do I really want out of life? What are my goals? Like one, obviously the horses are such a huge part of my life, but two, like I want to be able to be a partner to somebody and have a family, and I can't do that based on who I am right now. And so what are the steps that I need to do to get ready for that eventually one day? And for me, it was going to get help. So that was like a big driving factor for me. So when I was in rehab, they had meetings, like they brought NA and other meetings inside of the facility. And there was this guy named Pierre who came in for the Narcotics Anonymous meetings. And I kept going to those meetings and I was like, I don't have a problem with cocaine. Like this guy was on crack. Like that's a problem. Like cocaine's like just a party drug, no big deal. I mean, you hear people in there, like I would be in there and I'd see like blue collar button men at my rehab and I'd be like, oh, what were you on? And they're like black tar. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, are you serious? But we were in a meeting one day and he had been sober for 38 years. And I was like, how the hell were you sober for 38 years? And he goes, I go to a meeting every day. And I was like, why would you do that? Like, that sounds horrible. Why would you go to a meeting a day? And he started crawling around the floor like a little cockroach. And he was like, how many hours did you spend trying to find your last substance? Trying to figure out which dealer didn't have you blocked, trying to figure out which liquor store that is still open. What's 1 hour a day for the rest of your life back? What's giving up that one thing to get back everything? And that was the moment where I was like, okay, like maybe I do have a problem. And then I realized a lot of my memories and early childhood memories, my brain had just blocked off. So I started doing EMDR therapy, which is supposed to replicate REM sleep and supposed to help you get back into your memories that you may have trauma blocked or something may have happened. And once I started working through those memories, I realized how much of a constant alcohol had been, and I didn't realize it. Like it was so secretive almost. Like I was engaged and I was pretty much sober that whole time, but I was a dry sober. I was still using and I was still doing other destructive behaviors that we call them untreated alcoholism. But I wasn't ever really sober.
So describe, I mean, you're putting out words that I don't understand
Okay.
totally. So describe what that means.
So,
About being a dry alcoholic.
Dry alcohol.
That very similar. My
Yes.
mom was
it's like white knuckling. So I am not exactly sure. I'm just gonna give you what I think a dry alcoholic means, because honestly, no one's ever explained that to me. But it's
Sure.
like it's in my eyes, I view it as an untreated alcoholic. So it's like you're not drinking, but you're thinking about like when your next drink is gonna be, or you are not going through the steps of recovering. So whether that be a 12-step program or going to therapy or working on the issues that you have around alcohol, it's like you're like I wanted to drink the whole time and I could have drank the whole time, but I was just kind of like faking it till I made it kind of thing. I never actually put any work behind being sober, if that makes sense.
So you weren't.
I feel like we should look up what a dry alcoholic
There
is.
you go.
I'm actually going to
Google
tell you a
it.
little bit because there was a period of time, and this is my perspective of it all, because my mom was an alcoholic and she stopped drinking, but her personality, her traits was being like she was still drinking.
Yeah.
Her tendencies, her behavior,
Right.
but she wasn't drinking. So we call that being a dry alcoholic.
Yeah, so a dry drunk is describing someone sober but not in recovery. They may still be behaving as if they were still drinking alcohol.
There you go.
So
So
I was spot on.
I knew something,
Good for
There
me.
you go.
unfortunately. Well, what you're admitting to and what you're experiencing is pretty powerful. But I think there's a lot of people out there that are younger that probably haven't really looked at themselves as closely as you have, you know? So I guess what I'm trying to think about here is like when you hit that rock bottom, and you're going through rehab twice and you're going to the meetings. And when did you come to the realization that, you know what, maybe I have a bigger story to tell?
Um,
Purpose, a purpose in life.
That's a good question. I've always been very outspoken on a lot of issues, whether that be mental health or racial discrimination within the horse industry. And for me, I think every experience and especially when it comes to addiction, and especially when it comes to addiction within the horse community, it's not talked about. It's really not. It's such a taboo subject about drug abuse and alcoholism and all that stuff, and getting on your horses hungover and whatever it is. And I feel like when I got out of rehab, I had so many people come up to me and just be like, I posted something on social media about, I didn't get into specifics. It was very above board about how I just really struggled through summer circuit 2025. And I decided to take a break and I needed to go get help. And the amount of people that reached out to me were just like, that's incredible. And I think I'm a unique case because I do ride horses. I'm adopted into a family. I've been in the horse industry for over 14 years now. And I think if no one's going to talk about it, like, why not me? I think everybody has a powerful story to tell, if I'm being honest. I feel like that's my favorite part about, one, working in real estate, but two, like getting to interact with people every day is hearing what makes someone them. And I think it's cool when we get to platform those stories and share them with other people, because somebody might relate to it. I mean, if somebody had gone on a podcast and said half of my story, I would have been like, oh my gosh, like it's not just me. And I think when people talk about the first time you go to a meeting or when you hear someone tell their story, all it takes is one person. All it took for me was one person who told a story very similar to mine for me to be like, oh my gosh, like recovery is possible. I can continue to do life getting sober. And it was scary. When they told me in rehab, when they're like, you will never be able to drink for the rest of your life, I was like, you are completely wrong. I'll be able to drink again. And that is really what will ruin people's recovery, is thinking that you're doing this with the intent to drink again, versus the mindset of, the way that I think about it is, one day at a time for the rest of my life. It's all I need to worry about is today. That's it. Can I stay sober today?
So you have to live in the zone being sober.
Yeah.
Like there's not a moment where you go, oh, I'm going away from that zone. You better get back in it.
You have to be consistent. They're constantly vigilant about where you are at. And it's required me to get a lot more honest with people about how I'm feeling mentally, and a lot more honest with myself about where I'm at, because a slip up could mean me going back out. And nobody wants my recovery more than I do. I desperately want to stay sober, like desperately. And I had what we call the gift of desperation, which is your want and your drive to recover and stay sober. And that is probably the most important part because nobody can want sobriety for me more than I want it for myself.
So Shelby, question that I kind of pops in my head here is how did you learn to sit with discomfort instead of escaping it in your early sobriety? Because you have to.
It sucks. It literally sucks. And I'm so competitive. Like with the horses, I don't want to do this if I can't win. Like I'm super, super competitive. Even my trainer knows.
Thank goodness you are.
I know, even my trainer knows, but I was so scared going to my first horse show. I did not want to go. I told my trainer Jake, I was like, I'm not going. Like I'm less than a month out of rehab. Like you're not getting me there. And it was out of state too. And I was so uncomfortable. Like the first 3 weeks out of rehab, I didn't leave the house. I was scared. I was petrified. I was nervous because nothing felt safe for me. And this is why a support system is so, so vitally important because he was like, you're going to the horse show, you're coming to Kentucky, and this is happening. And I was like, no, I'm not going. Next thing I know, my horse is getting loaded into a trailer and I'm getting put in the car. And I'm like, I just got bamboozled. But he even told our guys in the barn they weren't allowed to drink in the barn. Like everybody knew they couldn't drink in our barn aisle at all. There to be no alcohol there. If they wanted to drink, it needed to be away from the horse show, not around me. Like at dinner, nobody ordered any drinks or anything. They all came to the ring to watch me show. And I remember I came out of the ring just like sobbing because I was like so emotional. And it's really hard, but I say this, every emotion that you have is temporary. No emotion is constant. Like I get a lot like, when are you going to be happy again once you get sober? Like, are you ever really happy all the time? Your emotions will start to fluctuate like a normal human being because I'm a firm believer that there's no such thing as a bad emotion. You just have to learn how to feel them and know that your emotions are temporary and that there is another side to your emotions. And I have been very lucky that I'm a glass is half full kind of person because it's allowed me to be very grateful for every opportunity and every good and bad day that I have because I'm able to get through even the worst days sober. I mean, my heart horse just sold literally yesterday. And I thought everyone was worried that I was going to hit the rail. And I didn't because I work a good program and I'm firm and confident in the fact that I want to remain sober and I can't let anything risk that.
By starting your platform of young and sober, is that also giving you strength into continuing with sobriety?
Yeah, I mean, you can't have a young and sober platform if you don't stay sober. So, it's been incredible. And I think the reach on even just TikTok, I'll like film short little videos of me talking about random stuff. Like I just started a new series about dating while you're sober, which has been really fun because like I'm, 23, I'm going on, well, 24. Ooh, yikes. I'm 24. I'm going on dates. Like I'm navigating a whole new life in a whole new way. And it's so uncomfortable doing something sober, but it is also very rewarding. Like I've been able to go out to the bars with my friends. Like we went out on Friday night and I was completely fine. I went to the beach over here in Ocala on Sunday night and I was completely fine. Like I've resumed, I wouldn't say normal life because my life has done a 180. Like I've completely changed my friends, I've changed a big part of my environment, and I've changed the way that I communicate and I interact with myself and the people around me. But I've been able to like go and do normal things again. Like I've had more fun in sobriety than I ever had drinking.
Yay.
Ever.
That's great. Now, part of what I learned is, though, too, in all honesty, is that your first year of sobriety, the program used to be is like you should not be dating your first year of sobriety. Did you ever hear that before?
Yeah. Screw it. Like I don't, I don't know what to say. Like
That'll be an edit right there.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good. It's on honest response.
I mean,
And
like
that's fine.
like you hear the old timers in the room all the time. They're going to tell you to do this and tell you to do that. I went to a meeting out in Kentucky and it was 200 people at this meeting and there was a speaker that came and he said that within the first 3 months he was like found the love of his life and started dating her and they ended up getting married. But it's one of those things where it's like you're either going to grow or you're going to go. Like how much do you want to seclude yourself? And you're going to face things that are going to be difficult and going to be challenging, but you can't avoid them. And so, what better way? I call it exposure therapy. Like, I go out on a first date with someone, I literally call my friends and be like, I'm going on an exposure therapy adventure. Like, I think it's like, it's interesting to see. I love like testing myself and seeing like there's in moments you need to stay safe, but in moments you do need to push yourself and you do need to explore. And now, maybe I won't recommend dating within your first year of sobriety, but honestly, like we're humans, we crave connection with other people. So I feel like that's normally going to happen, especially when you're going through the change. But it was one of those things where you do have to balance replacing your substance with something else. And that's where people do recommend not dating until over a year because you can start to replace alcohol or drugs with people. And that's when it gets dangerous. But I've worked a very, very strong program. And so that's something that me and my professionals are not worried about in my life.
But I would take that just like if you come off a horse, you should get back on. Sometimes that's the worst thing to do for somebody.
Yeah.
Because if you come off the second time, what are we doing now?
Yeah.
We're putting up you and hold your broken arm while you ride. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
a point where, and it's a balance.
100%.
For one person, the confidence needs to be built right away. For another person, we need to now build it up for weeks, months, years before they can get back on. So everybody's going to be different. So, but what I liked what you said earlier was that I get when I know somebody that's an alcoholic, I would never drink in front of. Now, I don't drink very often anyways.
Yeah.
I can have a good time without drinks, but it irks me at times when people know they're an alcoholic and they're still ordering drinks in front of them, because to me that's putting out a temptation. But what you're teaching me is some people get to a point where
Yeah.
I got to have that in front of me. It's going to happen because you came to the cabin where everybody was drinking.
Yeah. And I was totally fine.
Yeah.
It's funny, if you put an espresso martini or a gin martini in front of me, that it would probably be like, I was like, I gotta go. Like, I can't be around this area. But seeing people like hammering back shots at bars and like ordering vodka sodas and stuff like that, it makes me want to vomit now. So like, I have no interest in that. But I've ordered drinks for my friends and be given it to them, like, and had no inkling of wanting to pick up a drink because, and now that's really not going to be everybody at all by any means. I feel like everyone always tells me within the rooms I'm like a unique special case because they're like, I'd never heard of someone going and doing that. But like, I want nothing more than to stay sober. Like, I probably want that more than I want anything to do with horses, is to stay sober, because I know that if I don't stay sober, everything else will come crashing down. But on top of that, like getting sober has really helped me work what we call like spiritual programs. So like finding a relationship with a higher power or whatever that may look like for you. And I think the programs do a really good job of making it digestible, especially with people with religious trauma, of what that might look like for a person. There was some guy in the room who was like, my God's Oprah. You get it, you get sobriety, and you get sobriety, and you get sobriety. Like people are really like, it's a strange place and it's a funny place at times.
So you've been sober for how long?
A little over 8 months now.
Okay. So when we asked her this before we started the podcast, you went down to the hour.
Yeah, I can give you the exact measurement.
That's all right. I'm just wanted to make it clear, 8 months now. To start a podcast.
Are you ready? 8
Go
months,
ahead.
19 days, 15 hours, 54 minutes, and 51 seconds on the dot.
There you go. So starting a podcast, is this your way of staying in the zone?
Yes.
By expressing what you're going through and hopefully helping others? Is this why you're doing this?
Yeah. I think when you're in recovery, they talk a lot about you spent so long being selfish, it's time to get selfless. And I have found that community outreach, helping other people, trying to be I've been such a degenerate member of society. Like I have done some horrible things in my community. And so I've spent a lot of time in my recovery figuring out how I can be an active member of my community, how I can help those around me, how I can help the less fortunate, or, help people get experiences. And that's what I love about real estate, is eventually I would love my real estate to kind of lean into helping people buy recovery houses for recovering addicts or people coming out of jail or people who are younger and emancipated from their family. Like that's really what I want to end up doing. So there's a way bigger scale to Young and Sober than just what it is now, and I'm super excited.
So it's an interesting twist because most of the time people that have been or would be in your shoes would be sober for years before they would think about creating a podcast, where I think it's actually unique that you're starting off at the beginning. Hey, you want to hear my story? Let me hear it from the beginning while I'm going through it. And then hopefully 10 years down the road, you're talking about how that moment helped you to get to here and encouraging others to do the same.
Yeah, I think with Young and Sober, I'm really trying to keep it as versatile as possible with the amount of time that people have sober who come on and speak to me. Because when you're one day sober and someone comes up to you and they go, I'm 15 years sober, you want to look at them and punch them in the face. Like, let's be so for real right now. Like, I want to look at them and be like, you are a liar, a dirty, filthy liar. Like, that's just what I want to say. But it takes some time. Like, but to hear people who have a month, 2 months, even a week, or even 4 days, like there's something about their stories that need to be platformed and need to be heard, because it makes people feel so less alone. Like, it is hard to get sober. It is probably one of the hardest things I've done in my life, is getting sober, but it has been so incredibly rewarding. But on the other hand, like, I don't do anything quietly. Like, I could go talk to that tree outside the Beamer place if I could, like, literally. So I live loudly and I live very boldly, and that's how I've always done it. And so why would I change now? It's worked for me this far, I think. I hope.
And not just having the podcast, which sounds fantastic. And it's gonna be launching on February 20th.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm crossing my fingers.
I'm putting that out
hoping.
there. I'm manifesting. So we wanted Shelby to come on to help her spring her platform and make her even more successful. And
Yay.
that's what we're looking for. But I'm also amazed though too. It's not just the podcast. I mean, everyone, it seems like they're doing a podcast, and they get kind of lost.
You're doing a podcast. I'm doing a podcast. She's doing a podcast. We're all doing a
podcast. And we're just having fun too, because we're getting out of our comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
But you're being real and raw about it, which is amazing. As a young person, I'm amazed by it. In the beginning. But also what I really appreciate is that you're also wanting to develop that community of young and sober people, letting them know it's cool and it's okay to do that, especially in the equestrian world, that they might get pressured.
And to get stories out there. That's, I think, powerful. To hear your story is powerful for me because I've gone through different things, similar but not exactly the same. And I always think alcohol, I always remember something I read or saw was alcohol is the only drug that publicly is okay to push on everyone.
Mm-hmm. And it's crazy too. When I was younger, literally like 8 months ago, I used to always think of hangovers as this like fun thing. Like, oh, I'm hungover, hair of the dog, I just got to drink again, I'll be fine. And when I went to rehab, it wasn't until I heard the medical professionals literally tell me, that's your body detoxing. You are detoxing from a drug. And for some reason that clicked in my head was, this is not a hangover. My body is detoxing from a substance. Like, this is like detoxing off benzos or heroin or anything. Like, your body is shedding it out of your system. And what's fascinating is benzos and alcohol are actually the only two, I believe, withdrawals and like detoxes that can actually kill you. So sometimes when people have alcohol poisoning and they've been drinking so much, rehab facilities or hospitals will tell them to keep drinking up until they're there so they can put them on other medications to wean them off, because it will, like, a hangover will kill you. It's not like just a funny, silly little game. And I think how we've normalized it as a society is really scary. Now, I always used to love like a fun little drink, and now that I'm totally sober, like, I don't judge people who drink. I sometimes am jealous. I wish I could drink like a normal person, but I've proven to myself that I can't drink like a normal person.
So do you think, and I'm going in a direction, do you think Safe Sport needs to add alcohol to it or create a new genre for the horse communities to realize, you're going to get put in situations?
I'm going to say no. You add rules and people just say,
or education.
Yeah, I mean, It's so hard. I think Safe Sports done a lot of cool things, but I always, when I was a junior, I was a little pistol when it came to going up against the head of things. Like it was pretty bad actually. But I don't think that Safe Sport does a good job of letting the people know who it's protecting, what it does for them. And the way that they've handled all of the stuff currently, I wouldn't trust Safe Sport with something like alcoholism. I think it's really just about letting people know they have a safe place to go where they're not going to be judged and that it's not going to be like a whole thing and it's not going to be broadcasted through social media and a press release isn't going to come out about them and that they have a safe route to go where it can be discreet and it can be private until they would like to say something publicly about it. And I don't think I've seen anything thus far in the horse world that's been very discreet or private, unfortunately, for the people dealing with stuff. And then you see the backlash of those things, and it's atrocious. Like it almost makes it not worth it.
So Shelby, let's just take a scenario here. You see either a younger self of you that was addicted, or you see another person that's out here that are at a show that's struggling. What conversation would you start to have with this person to kind of help them be aware?
Nothing about alcoholism. Nothing. I would let them know what I've been doing, what I'm up to, the fact that I'm sober, and especially I think a lot of the people here know me and know what I was like when I wasn't sober. When I wasn't sober, um, the last thing you want to do is judge someone else on the way that they are drinking. And I don't even think I would even go back and change the way that I did things because I had to destroy my life before I could rebuild it. And you don't have to hit as far as a rock bottom, but unfortunately, I think a lot of people are very not aware of what they're mentally going through. And it's so easy in horses to ignore everything and to dive into your work. I mean, we work insane hours. When I was a junior, I was working 80 plus hours a week and not getting paid. I mean, that's child slavery, like literally. Like I don't know how else to explain that. But it's such a hard sport to try to explain to people that they don't need the escape that they have. And that's what sucks. That has nothing to do with alcohol. That has to do with the toxicity and the community involved in the horses. Like if we didn't work our people or work ourselves the way that we would, we probably wouldn't need alcohol as much as we do, unfortunately.
Well, I was going to say my experience, I paid for my slavery. And so I paid for my education. So I used to say, well, this is worse than slavery. I'm actually paying somebody.
That's how it was for me too. It was
Yeah.
the same thing. I was paying so much money to work for somebody else and work underneath somebody else for so long and not even getting any benefit out of
And
it.
the people outside the horse community, when I say 14 to 16-hour days with a half a day off, they think I'm joking.
Yeah, no.
And then the people that I went to of my peers from college, and they went, well, Pete, that's what I did. I know exactly what you went through. That's what, one of my mentors said. I didn't leave the farm for 3 months. They brought me groceries.
That's crazy.
Yes. So it is a reality and then an outlet for some people is alcohol.
And I don't blame them. Like I really don't. If I'm being so honest, I used to love having a couple glasses, a few glasses of wine, but then when it turned into like a bottle of wine a night to try to escape my life, then I realized like something's not right here. And that did require me to start to learn how to set boundaries with people and start to put my foot down because yeah, you might be replaceable, but like you can't replace your life. And if you keep putting that at risk, like you're going to be withering away and you're going to have nothing left. And so I now can set boundaries to people of what I can bring to the table and what I can't bring to the table. And you can either accept that or I can go find somewhere else to go do something.
But even other podcasts I've listened to, top world champions talk about the cocaine, the alcohol.
It's insane.
Yes.
It's insane. I didn't know like how bad and how common it was. I
didn't even know.
I thought that it was just that it was a joke until like I'm in a bathroom with riders that I look up to and they're pulling out bags and I'm like, what is happening right now? Like this is not normal. It's not normal. And they show in 4 or 5 hours. Like it's like especially cocaine, because it keeps you going. Like it keeps you awake and it keeps you like sometimes you have no other option. Like that's what it felt like, at least when I was doing it, was I'd hit like 3 a.m. of being up and I'd be like, well, I gotta be at the barn at 5. Like I just gotta keep going. Like I gotta stay awake. And now implementing a way where I have a balance in my lifestyle between work, riding, my personal life, and young and sober. I mean, I'm still trying to figure it out half the day. I mean, half the time I don't even know what day it is, but for the most part, trying to balance it because it is doable. I mean, we all have the same 24 hours, and you see people who live a stable lifestyle and are sober and are doing all the things they want to be doing.
Or they start protecting themselves and saying, no, I can't do this.
Exactly. No is such a hard word. I hate no. But I've had to learn how to say it in order to protect my sobriety.
I was just going to ask you that because I was going to say, how do you protect your peace in your world when such glorified chaos is going on all the time?
I have a hard time. I'm a people pleaser. Like I love making people happy. I hate letting people down and disappointing people. But like I said, my sobriety is number one. And if I feel like it could potentially risk me staying sober, I'm not going to do it. Like absolutely not. I will not do it. Like my friend who is also sober invited me to go down to Tampa with them for New Year's Eve, and I said no. Like it's with sober people. I'm like, that's in an environment I don't know, with people I don't know, and you guys want to go to like a concert. Like I don't feel comfortable with that. Like I'm not doing it. So
good for you.
And even at horse shows, like if I'm too tired and I need to go home and sleep, like I still have FOMO. I was gonna say I've lost FOMO, but I still have FOMO sometimes. But for the most part, like I don't have any fear of missing out anymore because I know that like I'm gonna be better off for it the next day. And I still can go out and have fun and get home at like 12 and go to bed and wake up and have a productive next day. And I think that is the beauty of it, is I can actually take care of my body, take care of my health, and get the sleep that I need and be able to show up for the people who need me, but also show up for myself.
Well, we used to go out and we would leave the ranch at 10. We'd go out and dance until 2 o'clock in the morning and then get up at 4 or 5 o'clock. I mean, we had to be at the ranch at 5:30, and it was so funny to watch everybody else. I was energized. I danced all night.
Yeah, you can work a full day on 4 hours of sleep when you're not drinking. I didn't think I could ever do that. Now, for the most part, I'm going to bed at like 10, 11 p.m. at night, but every so often, like I do get bored sitting in the house. Like I want to go out and do stuff and like see people that I know and whatever it is. And so it's all life is finding a balance. That's all it is.
So, what has sobriety given to you that you never expected?
What is it not given to me? Like honestly, I mean, it's given me a second chance, giving my life back. It's given me the ability to form friendships with people and to have relationships with other people and not hurt them and not hurt myself. I think for a while I was always like, everybody always abandons me. I'm always left out. But I realized that I'm the only one abandoning me over and over and over again. And when I started showing up for myself, everything fell into place. Like everything just followed. Like my real estate's taken off. I never thought I would have a career at that. The podcast stuff has gone great. I've had opportunities to do some content creation for some really cool brands and to work for some really cool companies. And it's like every day I get to do something that I'm passionate about. And that's what sobriety has given me. Like just peace and to be able to have the ability to step back, see a behavior in myself that I don't like, and to be able to work through it and figure out how to change that behavior. And now when I say sorry, I actually mean it. Like I'm actually going to make a change and do the steps that I need to do to be an active member of society. And it's like even just the way that I interact with people around me, like I'm not like gossiping anymore. I'm not getting involved in the BS. I'm not dealing with the drama. Like it's become very much protect my peace, but also I'm able to protect those around me and show up for the people around me. And so I'm a mom. I mean, I'm not a mom. I'm a dog.
Mom, if you're listening to this now,
Yeah.
please call 911.
I'm a daughter. I'm a friend. I am not a mom.
Not quite a mom.
Not a mom, but I am a daughter. I'm a friend. And
Passion overtook her brain.
I know. I'm able to have like I serve at my church on Sundays now, and we do service events and stuff like that, and that's been a blast. Like my life is done.
So, Sydney, if you could go back in time to when you were not quite rock bottom, and you could say something to yourself, what would the advice be that you would give Sydney of 10 months ago, 2 years ago, whatever it would be?
I probably wouldn't have said a damn thing. I would have just let her figure it out.
That's
I
fair.
mean, that's the way I had to do it. And it didn't matter what anybody told me, I would not listen to them. So I think that me then, if someone had really sat me down and said something to me, I would have given them the bird. I would have been like, no, I don't care. I'm going to continue to do this. And so,
So what would be your strategy then to get someone to see what you've done and it's possible?
Or let's word it this way. Let's say you have someone who's sober curious, but scared. What's one gentle first step would you tell them or help them with?
tell them my story. I think in the book they talk about how Bill W., the guy who created pretty much a 12-step program, would go to hospitals and tell other alcoholics his own story. And there's something really powerful in telling your story. And that's why I'm so adamant about it, is because all it takes is for someone to listen to one part of your story and be like, oh my gosh, that's me. And I think media portrays alcoholics as these grumpy old men sitting in a room pissed off that they can't have beer anymore. And that's not what an alcoholic is. There are so many, there's binge drinkers, there's I don't even know all the names. There's like 12 different types of alcoholics, and it shows up in so many ways. And even when you remove alcohol, it turns into, you're addicted to people, you're addicted to other forms of, whatever it may be.
Putting others at risk, putting
Yeah,
yourself at risk,
yeah.
driving,
And I think I would,
riding horses.
yeah, exactly. I would probably ask someone, like I've had a couple people reach out to me in Ocala who happen to struggle with addiction and have asked me what to do. And my first step is being like, hey, do you want to come to a meeting with me? Like, you don't owe me anything. It's free. We'll sit there and you can just come and listen. That's it. And if they decide to go back out and drink again, there's nothing that I can do about it. All I can do is be a pillar for them if they decide to come back and they decide that they want to get help.
This is interesting because to me, I see I always look at things at the horsemanship side. It's kind of like when I first started off, I would be begging you to take a lesson from me. I could change your horse. Oh my gosh, I'll give it to you free. And now I've realized, well, you want it, it's great. If you don't, that's great too.
Yeah.
If you ever want to, the door's still open. So
Yeah.
that's what you're doing with.
That's the best way to do it. And I think people will start to realize that you have something they want, and they're going to figure out how to do it, because I can't want someone's sobriety more than they want it for themselves. And I can't force someone to come to a meeting, and I can't force them into rehab. But if they ever want to explore it, I will answer all of their questions. I will give them every bit of knowledge that I have, and I will crack the door for them.
Well, I'm hoping on this In the Zone that people that are listening are starting to realize that Sydney is creating a path to In the Zone, and a different In the Zone. What we're talking about, we're talking more about life than horsemanship.
Yeah.
And part about being in the zone and hearing everything that you've experienced, from hurting yourself to suicide attempts to drinking and drugging. What does forgiveness look like for you?
Oof. It's brutal. I think a lot of people struggle with self-forgiveness. For me, I think doing EMDR therapy and a ton of different other therapies helped a lot. But at one of my therapies that I went to, there was a couple exercises that we did that were really interesting that made me take a step back and realize, like, yes, I had a part to play in a lot of this, but some of the stuff I had no part to play. And we called it a trauma egg. So we had to draw out our trauma from birth up until current day and present it in a room full of people. It took me 3.5 hours to get through mine. And I sat back and I just looked at it and I was like, wow, like no wonder I've done the things that I've done, like based on the stuff that I've been through. Like it would make complete sense. And the other exercise we did was called trauma drama, literally trauma drama, where you're in a room with 80 different people and you have to pick people to play characters in your life and you reenact a certain thing that you're dealing with or you're working through. And then another realization of like, okay, like I can see it. And so once I started to understand that a lot of the behaviors that I had were, one, I could change them, I could fix them. Two, a lot of it was because I was under medicated or not medicated or self-medicating or drugging and using. And that, three, I think I'm on three, I am not who I was, like by any means. I have seen the change that I've done in myself because I put the work in and I've been dedicated to becoming a better version of me. And I know it's possible. Like I've seen some miracles within the rooms of, the 12-step programs and stuff like that. And I've seen people who never had a shot be able to get a shot. And I think once you start to realize that like your past doesn't define you, it just helps grow you into who you are today. And I really sat with that and was like, my higher power takes me for exactly how I am. And like, I owe it to myself to give myself a second chance. And the only way I can give myself a second chance is if I start to forgive myself. I don't know if that really answered your question.
No, it does.
Forgiveness is such a hard thing. You hear so many
That
people
is
in
a
the
tough
rooms like talk about, and I was very self-destructive. I wasn't as destructive with other people. Like I had done some messed up things to others, but I was really like lighting a bomb under my own butt and just letting it blow. Like that's kind of how it was. But like it's some people I've heard and the stuff that they have to work through and forgive themselves for, I couldn't imagine. But it's about being patient and understanding that this is a process. Like we call it spiritual progress, not spiritual perfection. And that's how this is. It's progress, not perfection. And so you're going to make mistakes and you're going to learn from them. But like, you can't hold what you didn't, you can't move forward if you're holding what you did over your head constantly. Because the likelihood is that once you start in recovery and working this program, the people in your life will forgive you. 9 times out of 10, they do. I think
true friends.
literally, or even your family members, like they just wanted me to be okay and they wanted me to be safe. So if they're not holding what I did against me, why would I hold it against myself?
There's I taught a psychotherapist, and she used to say the horse started blowing up like it was before. And she goes, well, that's just change back. And I said, what's that mean? And she said, well, it's kind of like a smoker that stopped smoking for 6 months and then went and started smoking again. That's change back. But people think that's going backwards, but it actually may cause them to even get better at the change of stopping smoking because now
Yeah.
they're like, what am I doing? This is disgusting. And now they don't smoke for the rest of their life.
Yeah. And even in our program, it talks about that if you have any inkling that this is not the path that you should be taking, go back out and try again. Like my sponsor told me, she sat me down one day and I was like, I don't actually really think sometimes I'm an alcoholic. She's like, well, then you want to go back out and get another drink? Like that's literally what she told me. And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, that's the easiest way to find out if you're an alcoholic. Go back out and drink again. Like, and some people really have that stop button. But when I realized that I would drink and I didn't know when to stop, I had no limit and I would keep going until I was completely blacked out and I couldn't walk. Like, that's when I was like, okay, I do have a problem. And now some people may argue that there were nights I was able to go out and have a couple drinks and go home and go to bed and be completely fine. But the issue was never the day. It was what's going to happen the day after and what's going to happen the day after. Like it was a domino effect with me. And then once I start drinking, then I found cocaine and then it would just like take over. And then I was off to the races. So that was kind of, the progress of
Yeah,
that.
I knew somebody that was 28 years sober and they took a trip to Germany and they wanted to try the good beer. Oh, I'm just trying it. And by the time that the week was done, they were home back into drinking again and had to go through another program to get them to stop drinking.
Yeah. And some people on social media, I don't know if this is harmful or not. Personally, I think it's harmful. It's like they're like, well, you don't need to call yourself an alcoholic for the rest of your life. And it's like, I think there's power to it. I really do think that me being an alcoholic and an addict, that there's power behind those two words. Because for me, it has given me special accreditation to go out and help people who don't have access to other people that can help.
Yay.
I like that.
And I think when I put a positive spin on it of being like, oh, like I'm an alcoholic and an addict, that means that I have been specifically gifted to go out and help other people get sober. Like, how cool is that?
It's easier for the preacher to preach that has done the sins than to be sitting there, never done any of those things and telling you shouldn't do that.
Every time I hear from a non-alcoholic about something about what I'm going through, I'm just like, shut it. Like, you don't know. You don't know. Like, you can think you know, but
we're gonna have to call it in the zone raw.
Sorry.
No, I love it. I love the passion. This is great. Well, I think it's time for the lightning round.
I think you need to explain her what that is.
Okay.
Now, this could be pretty scary.
Yeah, this could
be
get
pretty
scary.
raw.
Yeah, this could get raw. So
I'll keep it clean, boys. Don't worry.
this is the fun questions that are going to be lightning fast.
Okay.
but we want you not to think about it. We want the first thing that pops to your mind.
I don't think you want the first thing.
Yeah, we want the first thing that pops to your mind so that we get an honest answer.
Okay.
Exactly like that. When you think about it too much, it's not as fun.
Okay.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yes. One.
Go ahead.
Okay, here we go. Who's gonna say it?
Go ahead.
One word sobriety has given you.
Hope.
Morning routine or nighttime reflection?
Morning, nighttime reflection.
Coffee, movement, or a quiet time to reset.
Coffee.
A feeling you notice more clearly now?
Happiness.
One boundary you're proud of keeping.
Telling people no.
A habit that supports your clarity?
Riding horses.
A small win that means more than people realize.
Every day that I'm sober.
Community or solitude? What restores you more?
Community.
A song that feels like healing.
Oh no.
Oh, yes.
Oh, no.
Is that the song? Oh, no.
I would say Benny and the Jets or Tiny Dancer.
Woohoo. A place where you feel most grounded?
The barn.
Something you enjoy sober that surprises people.
Oh no.
That song again.
Like, hey, being around my friends, even if they're drinking. I think people are surprised by that.
A belief about yourself that has changed?
I am good enough.
Woohoo.
One thing you no longer apologize for.
Saying no.
Your go-to way to calm your nervous system?
Oh, I don't. I just write it out.
That's honest.
A word that describes this season of your life.
Oh, transformative.
What helps you stay present when life gets loud?
Horses. I know I've said that answer a few times, but horses.
fair
It's all
enough.
right. It's a good answer.
A value you live by now.
Honesty.
Something you're still learning to give yourself grace on?
Scheduling. I've always had a really hard time with staying on schedule, and so that's been probably very difficult for me.
A reminder you would write on your mirror.
Stay sober.
One thing you're excited about right now?
Oh,
I want to answer this for her.
the podcast.
Yay!
That was fun. That wasn't so painful.
No, it wasn't so
You
bad.
know, definitely got you thinking.
I know. I
You
was
know?
like,
You're a little bit more, perspiring a little bit more on that one.
We got you a little out of your comfort zone on that one.
That was good. I like that.
Good. Conversations like this remind us that strength doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it looks honest. Sometimes it looks like boundaries. And sometimes it looks like choosing yourself one day at a time.
Sydney's story is a powerful reminder that clarity isn't something you find once and keep forever. It's something you choose again and again. And that healing doesn't require perfection, just presence.
If this episode resonated with you, if it made you pause, reflect, or feel a little less alone, share it with someone who might need that reminder today.
You can learn more about Sydney and Young Sober Community online and on social. And as always, thank you for spending time with us here.
Sydney, we'd like to thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you guys so much. I had an absolute blast.
We enjoyed it quite a bit. Why don't you, before we end, tell people how they can find you?
So our social media, we're on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Young and Sober, Young and _sober. And then the podcast is just youngsober.com.
Fair enough. And we're going to add that on the bottom of this podcast too. So you can just hit on that link right then and there.
Amazing.
Thank you, Sydney.
Thank you guys so much.
Until next time, stay honest, stay curious,
Stay sober.
and keep choosing what brings you in the zone.
That's a wrap on another powerful episode of In the Zone with Ian Robb and Dancin Pete Rodda. Whether you ride, compete, or simply love your animals like family, today's episode was a reminder that true teamwork starts with connection and that health is the ultimate performance edge. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave us a review. And catch us next time as we dive deeper into the mind, body, and bold journeys of top performers. Until then, stay focused, stay inspired, and keep riding in the zone.